Hello, and welcome to Dr. Lanu's Storytime. Today's story is Magnetic North by Gary Zenker. It's a story of a private investigator hired by a blackmailed victim. His case takes an unusual turn. How does he solve it? Let's find out. Now, let's get to the story. Magnetic North by Gary Zenker. She crossed and uncrossed her legs twice for effect. She had my attention. Then she slid 10 crisp sawbucks across my stained mahogany desk. Now she had my interest. I'm being blackmailed again. I took the bait. Again? It reminded me of a Bogart film. She dropped her gaze to the floor. An indiscretion. Early in my marriage. It would ruin me. She lifted her face and stared into my eyes. There was clearly more despite her silence. Is it the same person blackmailing you? Yes, no, I don't know. I waited for an explanation. None was coming. So I took a different approach. I need to know what I'm looking for. Photos. Letters, left behind undergarments, and stockings. Yes, I don't think so. A final yes would have pleased me more. Blackmail is ingenious, really. If you aren't the one being blackmailed, a minimal amount of work earns you an unending annuity of, or whatever you call it, if you collect monthly. I consider a blackmail as a vocation. If I didn't have a moral compass and a gal Friday who'd like to hold it for me. Margot is the perfect name for my blonde assistant, especially given the association on the radios with a certain dark avenger. I walked my new client out the double back to Margot, sliding the bills in front of her. Cash up front? She says. I guess I have a job for another week. In the bank, all of it. You get paid on Friday. She pouts as she pulls a cigarette from the packet and slides it between those red lips. A fast match strike and it's lit. She takes a puff, then uses her thumb and forefinger to press in between my lips. I've got nothing to do this weekend, she informs me. I'll be busy working the client. Someone needs to bring in the bacon. You mean trying to extract a bonus from a grateful client? Boss, stay away from these women, especially her. You're better than that. One day, one of those husbands is gonna... My compass stopped short of finishing her sentence. I can't help it, if they're grateful. She's an innocent-looking kid, with a can-do attitude and a looker in her own right. Girl on a budget, but the clothes wear her. From the tight top of the skirt outlining her bottom, and those 4-inch stilettos heels. Inefficient for walking, but they do bring up her high up. just enough so that those plump red lips could whisper in my ear as she wrapped her arms around my neck and pulled down on it just a bit. Still, she is more of a wait at the desk kind of gal and feels more like an attentive kid's sister than an active agent, even in the case of something as mundane as a blackmailer. She runs an efficient office. My eyes move from her to the shoulder holster resting on the door. Are you cleaning my piece? A man's piece should be sacred and safe from... Not there, she questions. I thought I saw it earlier. I could be mistaken. Maybe you left it home again. Damn, even her efficiency can't make up for my forgetfulness. I'm going to need one in case my words alone don't move the blackmailer. So I grab my backup from my desk drawer, an almost as nice Colt, and slide it in the holster. Be careful, are her last words as I leave. I will. I have a stop on the way, and then it's off to a blackmailer meet and greet. And that explains my being here, in a dirty alley on a moonless, starless night in the wrong part of town, with my piece in hand and eyes on the dead body of what I presume was the blackmailer. Our boy is a bleeder, apparently shot before I arrived. It's near impossible to remove blood from shoes, so I step carefully as I fish his pockets for photos or letters. Instead, I discover his wallet. Finding it flush with cash, I deduced that a mugging wasn't the killer's motivation. 6 bullets tell me that Mr. Charles Drake's shooter must have been enthusiastic to see and wanted to make a point to someone. It is a her, given a single, barely perceptible shoe print left behind. She may not have been even realized until she left, if at all. I put the wallet back minus the cash. He won't need it where he's going, and my compass is back at the office. I am thinking that my man Drake was either stupid or met someone he thought was harmless when I see it, the piece, my forgotten piece. Beside the body, I pick it up, carefully not to stain my sleeve, but blood covers my hand. I shove both into my trench coat pocket. It's a frame job for sure, but why? I'm thinking that I should get out of there when a spotlight lights up the alley and my favorite police detective, Reagan Murphy, calls me. Dickhead! His idea of clever. Why is it that every time I see you, it's standing over someone who's been murdered? I'm a PI. It is a statistical probability. I mean, how is it that you are never the murder victim? Because that could only happen once. Suppose so. What's your connection to the recently departed? Blackmailer of a client, maybe. Probably of others too. Looks like a dame did it, or at least watched. I pointed out the footprints, but omitted mention of my pistol. Your client? He asked. Possibly. I guess. I turned her over if I knew. I'm a gumshoe, not a lawyer. Small difference in the ethics department. Says the man whose boys have a stellar reputation for graft and corruption. Gambling but not killing. They can still get into heaven with a clean conscience. And a few extra dollars. I guess we'll see when the day comes. You and me both, laddie. He shines the flashlight around the area. No weapon? Makes sense. Blackmailers seldom carry them. Their biggest threat to wave around is exposure. Right ye are, laddie. Murder 101. But back to your client. Don't underestimate a blackmail victim. You know why you never corner a lion. I moaned back some sort of acknowledgement grunt and walked back to my car. The drive back to the office gave me time to think. A setup by Murphy? He was a bit too quick, but I was convenient to blame for failures or make cases his team couldn't publicly handle. And he hadn't once looked at my pocket or where the gun had been. So maybe he was just tipped off to catch me at the right time. A bit player. And my client? She was strong. She had strong motivation to eliminate these blackmail. She could easily have lifted my piece from the office. It all fit. But she killed him and framed me? Was it all about covering up the blackmail? Or was there something else I hadn't yet considered? Maybe there never was a blackmail. Or maybe... Once back in the office, I used the sink to scrub the blood from my hands. Then I hung my holster on the door in its usual spot, put my primary in the holster, and returned my backup to the drawer. "So, boss," my assistant greeted me with what smelled like a bag of Chinese takeout. "How did it go?" "Not so good. The perp was dead when I got there. No photos, no letters. Shot with my piece, which was discarded at the scene." Margot hesitated as she took it all in. "So it was the client. Must have been taking your gun when she was here. That's why it was missing. And she thought she could grab the items, hire you, and frame you, and cover up murder. How am I doing?" "It's the way I'm figuring it. She's one angry person. To shoot him over and over like that, huh? Well, I guess being blackmailed does that to you." Margot walked across the hardwood floor to the outer office. I listened to the clop of her shoes as she walked away. "Shots? But I never..." I quickly looked at the desk, down her tight skirt to her bright red flats. I bit the inside of my lip. I should turn in my detective's license. "There's one thing I can't figure," I pretended to talk to myself. "What's that?" "I went to visit our client when she left here. She left her purse behind," I lied. "She didn't have the time to catch him before I did." Margot's eyes widened. "So who else would have access to my piece?" "Come to think of it, I didn't see your piece today. Someone must have broken into the place." I walked up to Margot. The top of her head came mid-chest, and she looked up to me. "Did you shrink while I was gone?" "No, just different shoes than usual." "Different from the ones you wore this morning and every day since I hired you?" "That's unusual." "They were pinching my feet. Or maybe you stained them when you went out for Chinese." There was a long pause, long enough for my stare to unnerve her, and then, "Damn it! I had this all worked out, but I didn't account for all the blood. I'd never shot someone before. There was so much blood. Why? Why shoot him and then frame me? I knew you'd get there before the police and discover your piece. I figured it would stop you from playing with that client and put a little of that attention on me. I'm the one who's here day and night. I'm the one who nurses your gunshots. But any woman coming here and can get you in a minute, and I look at Margaret in a different light. Clever, planned, committed, more daring than I thought, and surprisingly, just a bit dangerous. I stare at her again, in silence to extend the mood before I speak. "Well, a blackmailer died. The world's not any worse for it, I suppose." I walked to the door and turned the lock, then back to my desk and poured 2 shots. Cash up front from the client, an on-site bonus, and a surprise ending. "How would you sum it up?" I asked my assistant. good fortune for case closed, she smiles and downed a shot in one. Maybe my compass was pointing me in a new direction. I'll have to give that a try. The end. Thank you for watching. If you have short stories, poems, art, or music that you would like featured on this channel, please email it to j.lanou.stories@gmail.com. Click on the icon to the left for a previous episode. Click on the icon on the right to subscribe to my channel. And always, please like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, take care of yourself.